This is the Lightbase 900, and its accompanying 600. And if you've noticed, it has a bit of a party trick, which, sponsored by Be Quiet today, we're gonna check out. As you can see, horizontal mount. This, right off the bat, I don't know why more people haven't done this, because it makes perfect sense. Every computer case on the bloody planet has a blank back panel. Let me just put the thing on its side, right? But it goes so much deeper, because watch this. I want to put it back up top. I can do that. Pop the feet out. They just twist out like this. Easy. Now watch this. That's a big girl. It's inverted, at least to a normal PC case. And then watch this. Boy. Standard layout. It's honestly kind of brilliant. The design, if you think about it, it might seem a little confusing at first. You've probably seen cases that have functionality like this, even from Be Quiet themselves. But those designs require taking out like 40 screws and moving the whole motherboard tray around, flipping everything around. They just made the case symmetrical, top and bottom, so that all you need to move is the feet, and you can invert or lay this case horizontally from whatever configuration you had before in a matter of like 30 seconds. I just showed you how it's literally that easy. They told me if you turn it on and off, oh, look at that. Hey, there's like a little orange animation because Be Quiet, that's their brand color. Very cool. This is the 900, the full fat, full size version. It supports eATX motherboards. It comes with 4 fans. It's got this super sick RGB bar that runs, like I said before, top and bottom all the way around. It's addressable RGB. You can control it with the integrated fan controller and RGB controller, or if you have a motherboard in it, which this one obviously does not right now, you can hold the button and it'll revert to a motherboard control mode, which, as you can see right now, has nothing. So if you hold it down for a few seconds again, it goes back into the manual control. It's very nicely integrated. I like USB, Type-C, 20 gig, 2 Type A, 5 gig ports, combo audio, a reset button, which is something we're not seeing so much these days, but they wanted it to be symmetrical, and a big old power button. But the keen-eyed among you might have noticed something a little bit interesting about those fans I mentioned earlier. Huh? They have reverse blades, which solves a problem on pretty much all of those fancy, crazy PC builds with like a bajillion RGB fans. You might have noticed that to get the nice look, they have to be oriented all blowing out, which is not good for cooling and really not good for dust. Be Quiet has solved that problem. These fans blow this way, even though they look like they blow this way, because the blades are reversed. That way you can have the nice look of the front of the fan and have your airflow pattern actually make sense. Now, I have asked them, they're not optimized for static pressure, and they are technically a tiny bit lower airflow, but as just case airflow fans, they still work great. And the biggest concern for them was making sure the noise was low. As you can probably guess by Be Quiet's name, they don't like loud computers. And it looks like they've achieved that. I mean, this is about the loudest possible environment I could be in, but I don't hear the fans at all, and they look great. Let me show you what that looks like. See? Fans everywhere. And holy shit, there's actually air moving through the bloody case. It's brilliant. Naturally, if you want to run an AIO in a system like this, like so many people do, they look pretty. You're gonna wanna run their normal light wing fans, which actually have good static pressure, like these ones up here. And you might have noticed this is a new AIO as well. Their current models have the pump up in the tubes. This one, they've moved it into the hub here. It integrates the offset mount for Ryzen CPUs to get a few degrees off there, and just looks nice and clean. It's all addressable RGB. This is what your computer could look like. It's kind of cool, actually. With the vertical GPU mount, it's actually kind of sick upside down. It's actually super easy to do the vertical mount. You basically just take this entire piece here, unscrew it, and spin it. It doesn't take any weird adapters or anything like that, at least on the 900, but there is also the 600. The 600 over here is basically the same case, but just a little bit smaller, while still maintaining most of the compatibility. It goes from eATX to ATX, so a tiny bit smaller motherboard. Well, they've said they could probably fit an eATX board in there. It's got big AIO support, the same front IO, but with a little bit more affordable fans. They're Lightwing LXs, but still 4 of them. And these are also the reverse orientation like the other ones we showed you before. It also can do a vertical GPU mount. It's a tiny bit different process, but kind of just involves rotating the thing. It also can fit big AIOs. It kind of can fit whatever you want in either of them. I'm gonna show you the rear chamber in a second, but you can see the little covers it comes with. If you're not using this side, you can throw these in here just to make it look a little cleaner. On the top, they actually made them like stealthy. You almost can't even see the spots that it notches into. Bonk, oopsies. Big old fan filter across the whole rear panel. In the back, you can see the astronomical amount of cable management space as you get with a dual chamber case. We got a power supply mount here. They actually integrated these two little mounts here to give your power supply a little bit more support, even though it does have screws on the back like any other power supply mount. Both of them come with 2 fan hubs with full support for addressable RGB, so you only have to plug one thing into your motherboard and the rest of it runs off of that, and it's much easier to cable manage. They have 2 2.5-inch SSD mounts on the little cable management cover, and you can mount a 3.5-inch hard drive if you'd like up here. You can also expand this to 2 3.5-inch hard drives or 4 2.5-inch with an optional bracket. You can see there's our airflow and our fancy fans that blow the correct orientation. This is the intake side. Oh, I can actually see how the little fan strips connect. I like that it's accessible, because if you wanted to replace one, serviceable, it's not all like glued down and impossible to get at. You can just unplug it right there. Nice. Oh, I almost forgot. Did you notice how this motherboard has no cables? It's a back to front or reverse cabled motherboard, which these cases fully support. See? Look at all the connectors on the back. If you're not into AIO coolers, Be Quiet, of course, has a massive selection of air coolers, and they all fit even in the 600. You can see this guy right here. Their biggest air cooler fits quite nicely. I believe it's 170 mil CPU cooler clearance on the 600 and something like 180 or 185 on the 900. And of course, you can fit ginormous graphics cards. Like the rear of a computer case, it's not really any different despite the ability to invert it. And you can see the symmetry right here, which is what enables that functionality. This could end up a little bit different if you're doing a vertical mount. You just kind of flip this doohickey around. But other than that, basically the same. Power supply, motherboard, the included exhaust fan. They're also going to be selling both cases without fans if you want to save a buck or use your own weird fan configuration. Maybe you have your own already. They're targeting around $230 US for the 900 with all 4 Lightwing fancy fans, and for the 600 closer to around 180, 190 bucks with all the fans. If you don't want fans, deduct around 30, 50 bucks and you're pretty much there. Regardless of whatever configuration you're going for, air-cooled, AIO, high power, low power, Be Quiet has some products for you. So check them out at the link down in the description, and thanks again for sponsoring this video, Computex 2024. Get subscribed, like the video, buy a power supply, or a case, or an AIO. Bye.